Hi, Mom. So I just wanted to touch on this secret that is not really a secret of implementing these three essential steps and activities that would turn your distant relationship with your kids completely around. So I think that the three basic fundamentals for having that connection with your kids is number one is honesty. um, Number two, it is empathy. And number three, it's respect. So let me give a little bit more explanation of what I mean by that, because they might sound, common sense or cliche, actually. But I want you to think a little bit deeper when it comes to especially parenting. So when I'm talking about honesty, I'm talking about not just being honest and open about certain things, not lying to your kids, but also about, lack of manipulation in the relationship. So not having to have kids to be manipulated to do something. And that is something that I'm going to say I was guilty of for quite some time, when I was raising my toddler. And when I wanted her to do something or to pick a particular thing, I would always give her the two choices that I would want her to pick from either one. So then the choices would be the ones that I'd be okay with, as opposed to truly giving her a choice and saying, okay, what would you like? No, it was always, would you like this or that? And I know that's one of the tricks and tips of actually avoiding tantrums. But the truth is, what I've done is I've created a kid who kind of, in a way, has to be given those choices now, that to have to think for oneself from the array of choices that they're having to make the best choice and really how to learn a choice, how to learn how to make a choice is a yet another skill that we have to work on, as opposed to already teaching that from the beginning. So that, in a way, is actually manipulation, because we are teaching the kids that, the best choice is only the one that really I'm making for you. But, I'm going to give you this perceived idea of making a choice, but it really isn't. And then also honesty comes to being honest with oneself. um, am I actually doing what I said I'd be doing, or am I being who I'm asking my kid to be as well? So if I'm asking them to be patient, am I being patient? Am I asking them to behave in a certain way or do certain thing? Am I also following through? So that is also a form of honesty. And then, of course, being honest with the child when something is going off or going wrong or not going the way you want to. So, for example, being honest with them when something is happening in your life, and that is basically giving you the triggers that do not allow you to function at your best. So for example, okay, I've been snapping at you lately, or I've said these things, and I just want you to know that these things are happening at my work, and they're causing this discontent in me or these issues in me. Of course, depends how old your kid is. I'm not going to be talking to a toddler. Excuse me, my discontent today is. But you obviously, I don't have to tell you the exact words to speak to your kids with, right? You would come up with what is happening in the situation based also on the age of your kid. So having this direct and honest communication with the child creates the trust, and the empathy also, from the child's perspective, that to know that, oh, first of all, it removes this, oh, it's me, concept that, hey, okay, I understand what it means that when some other forces are coming in play, sometimes that causes, people to be in not necessarily a pleasant way. And so therefore, I can choose to respond or react in a particular way. So that's kind of, indirect, but then also direct way of teaching and handling kids, external causes of of our emotions and like, this discontent, I guess. But also just to recognize that, when we are honest with our kids, then they would have a more desire to also be honest with us, because they'll know then we would understand that, because, we are sharing something with them and we are understanding ourselves and then that process. And when they would share those kinds of things with us, they would know that we would also have that kind of understanding, because, we have gone through it. And the only way for the kids to know that we've gone through something like this before is for us to share it with them. And I think that also helps with that concept of, especially for older kids and the teenagers, so that when we are honest, it allows for our teenagers to see that we do experience challenges and how we deal with them and what's really going on and how we process information, so that they wouldn't really have the ammunition to tell us next time when we're trying to understand them and they're being snappy at us and telling us, well, you just don't understand me. And it's like, well, if you've had these conversations before, but from your side, then they know you actually do understand that, hey, these people at work are not being kind to me and they're being mean or they're doing this and that. Pretty much the same thing as, oh, these kids at school are doing this and that. It's like, yeah, I understand. People acting on this in this way is hurtful. So I can understand your side when you're telling me that someone is being hurtful. So, and that's just an example, and there are like a myriad of things that, it could cover. So when we are honest, when we have this open communication from the start with our kids, and it doesn't have to be, only when they're teenagers. It's, of course, that kind of honesty is, age appropriate. But I understand that, it's a little bit tricky with the younger kids, but I'm gonna tell you that it has been very helpful to have that basis for relationships with kids when it starts early, because they just start building that openness in communication and understanding from the very start, as opposed to just entering into it all of a sudden. Why are you telling me this? When you've never really spoken to your kid, and then all of a sudden it's like you lay it all out on them. It there's also a fine line, right? So if you have not been speaking to them in that kind of an open and honest way, for whatever reasons, then just, taking a baby step at a time would get you to that next place where you can both be openly sharing and honest, and being honest with each other. And then being honest with oneself, as I mentioned already as well, is essential. But you could see that, in essence, I mean, I could say that there are the three essentials here, but it's really one that I feel like leads to all the others, the other two, and then probably, 100 of other essentials for having that connected relationship with your kid. So I hope that was helpful. That's something that I've been definitely experimenting with, observing, and having people come to me with variety of parenting and personal issues to kind of handle that, because we always feel like we can't be vulnerable, especially as parents. With our kids, because that puts us in a whole level with them, then they will never listen to me again. But actually, it's the opposite, that if we are honest and we are open, kids are way more um, open to being more honest and more open with us. So, it actually, it might sound one way, because, we have some programming, especially when we've had parents who are very authoritative, that if you were to use that model and think that, oh, authoritative parents, if they start becoming honest about something, then you lose respect for them. But just think about it from your own perspective. Would that really be true for you or not? Would you actually respect them more if they were more honest with you as opposed to just authoritative? To me, I would say yes, because I have experienced, both camps of authoritative, like super authoritative parenting, and also more loose and open relationship and honest parenting, and also manipulative parenting and, connected parenting. So there's been quite a a range of type of communication. And I must say that the it might be more challenging at first just to get over that first hump of being able to be open and vulnerable. But at the end of the day, that is what allows our kids to see that we're also human and that we do care about them and that we do have this humanity in us, not just control need for things, and it will really open communication and connection with our kids. And I think that if we start building that from as early as we can, wherever you're at, it's really honestly never too late. Um, then you can only improve upon that. It doesn't mean you have to, have hours worth of conversations about it and lay out all the everything that's happening with you. No, that's also, again, there's the boundary of what a child really should take on. Otherwise, then you're just dumping all your problems on them. That's not really what this is about. It's about being honest in the moment. So if you had an argument, then you are honest with yourself first to recognize that, oh, wait a second, why did I just snap at my kid about this? This is so insignificant. What has really happened? Oh my gosh, I'm still triggered by this thing that happened at work or business or whatever, or with my own parents, whatever it is. And this really should not have been handled this way from me. So then you open the conversation, you say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I just snapped at you over this. It really isn't you. I've been dealing with this and this and that. And I've recognized it now that this has also seeped into this time right now, and so let's restart. Or I really do apologize for this kind of way of reacting or responding. I definitely am going to do better next time. And that's kind of one of the examples, and there's, of course, there are always many others. So I hope this was helpful, and let me know what you think and how you handle honesty by yourself with your kids and within yourself, because I think that's a very important topic for parents as well. And I know that comes up all the time for when their kids reach teenage time. And for some parents, it's even earlier than just teenage time. So let me know what you think, and I will catch you at the next video. Happy parenting.